Hey Narwhals, this is your host Luke Narwhal, and today we're going to be reading a post from Reddit. If you enjoy, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more weight loss related stories. A gentle PSA: losing weight won't necessarily fix any mental health issues that you have. When I decided to start losing weight in October of 2018, one of the tipping factors that made me finally take the plunge was the mental illnesses I was struggling with, namely depression and anxiety. I was absolutely certain that if I got to an acceptable weight, that all these problems would simply melt away with the fat that I was losing. After being fat and unhappy for my whole life, I was convinced that the reason I was unhappy must have been because of my size / the number on the scale / the person who looked back in the mirror. That didn't happen for me. I started off at 140 kilograms, 310 pounds, and I am now down to 95 kilograms, 210 pounds, with a little more to go, and I am still the same depressed and anxious person that I once was, except now, instead of being depressed and anxious in a 3XL shirt, I'm depressed and anxious in a large shirt. I'm 6'2" for reference. I realized that nothing had changed just a few weeks ago when I found an old diary entry from the day I started losing weight, detailing how I was certain I was going to be much happier by losing weight. And don't get me wrong, I am proud of my progress, and losing weight has made me feel good, but the mental health issues I had along the way have persisted. So I decided to see a therapist. I booked an appointment and went a couple of days ago. I told her about this experience and how I was certain that losing weight would relieve my mental health issues, but that ultimately I still felt empty inside. She smiled kindly and said these words: "No matter how much we can change our physical body, it's very hard to change what's already inside us." That's when I finally understood. My weight isn't stopping me from being happy. My brain is stopping me from being happy. To anyone who thinks that losing weight will suddenly fix all of your internal issues, just pause for a second. Really evaluate if your weight is the only thing stopping you from living your life to the fullest. Consider working on both your physical health and mental health at the same time. Weight loss is a two-way street between physical and mental health, and you owe it to yourself to be healthy in both areas. I love this community, and if you have found the opposite experience, please let us all know about it. Heart. I completely agree, and I wish I started to take care of my mental health sooner. I have lost 68 pounds and am now only a couple pounds away from being underweight, yet I am still anxious and depressed, but now also obsessed with losing weight. I know I need to stop losing, and losing won't fix my issues, but I have all this consuming desire to lose more weight. It's a horrible feeling. I don't even recognize who I've become sometimes. I honestly just want to be happy. I have an appointment with the counselor. It's in a month and a half. I made the appointment a month and a half ago, and the soonest I could get a new appointment was 3 months out. I'm striving for happiness. I just think I need a little help getting there. I have an appointment with the counselor. This is a good thing. I wish you well as you unpack and discover what is holding you back. We can only talk about and share our own experiences. I struggled for a long time with body image. This was in large part because of a cancer diagnosis I had early in my life, following a subsequent disfiguring surgery. Kids at the mall would point at me, etc. People still notice despite that being decades ago. I have very visible scars and a noticeable defect. Despite that, early on I still tried to stay healthy and exercise without paying too much attention to it. I'd resolved to myself that this is just the way your life is for a long time, and it wasn't until I was in my late 30s and early 40s that I was lonely and really let myself go. I just didn't care. Seemingly suddenly, and without realizing it, I knew something had to change following a mini stroke. I was obese and going to die if I didn't change. I did not want that. Life, despite its challenges, is worth living. I hope anyone reading this will heed this advice. Do not let yourself get to that point. It is not worth it. I'm married now and my person loves me for who I am, not what I look like. I'm now down about 65 pounds from my heaviest weight, and I found balance. Whatever you do, do not let additional overfeeding and obesity be a variable in your life. It just adds to the problems. The other thing I would say is this: happiness is not a place you arrive. It is the journey itself. There will be ups and there will be downs. If anyone expects that they will someday arrive at this place called happy, that all of their problems and stresses and disappointments will someday eventually be gone, if only they could just get there, life will be a sad and unfulfilling journey with a bitter end. Embrace life's challenges with grace. Don't have the expectation that everything is always going to work out and you'll get what you want and need if you're just patient enough. And when you have those small moments where everything is clicking, file them in your brain and go back to them. The small achievements and micro happiness is where life is lived in its best. Find your flow and make it real, no matter your situation or the crappy cards life may have dealt you. I agree with you that losing weight on its own will not fix mental problems, but I also think it's important to realize that lifestyle changes can affect your mental health for the better. Eating healthier gives your body/brain the nutrients they need to feel good and work more efficiently. Working out promotes endorphins in your brain that make you happy and can temporarily combat depressive thoughts. Losing weight and developing a better lifestyle isn't the cure for mental disorders, but it is a piece in the puzzle for overall stability. I still struggle with anxiety and have bouts of depression and waves of feeling like, what the frig am I doing? But after having lost so much weight and establishing a solid habit of regular exercise in my life, it has helped me a lot with not letting those things get completely out of control. I cannot imagine my life without exercise. I would be an absolute friggin' mess. This is coming from somebody who was morbidly obese, completely inactive, ate like total crap, was on a ton of medications for depression, and I was even in a psychiatric hospital on 3 different occasions at one point. I've been completely off behavioral meds, with the exception of occasional anxiety medicine as needed, for the last 10 years. I know this isn't possible for everybody, but I've worked really hard to keep my crap together without meds. Just as you said, eating better and exercising is not a cure, but it is without a doubt an incredibly important tool to help manage mental issues. I am like a completely different person than I was 10 years ago, and it's all because of my sheer determination, willpower, and discipline to get myself out of that deep dark hole that could have easily ended up with me dead. Congratulations on starting your journey to improve your mental health. Sometimes we forget how much weight can indeed be a cause of serious depression, anxiety, body image issue, but it's also a symptom of underlying mental health issues. Unfortunately, losing weight can also expose the true extent of how much we live in a superficial society and how differently people treat you based on how you look. It's one thing to know this abstractly and another to witness it so directly as your body morphs to a more societally acceptable one. I couldn't agree more. Lost about 90 pounds a few years back, ended up within 10 pounds of my ideal weight. It didn't do much for my mental well-being. I mean, it did something, but not nearly as much as I thought it would. At the time, I thought my flubber was the primary cause of my depression, but it turns out that not only was it not a cause, it was merely a symptom. I resolved a symptom without addressing the underlying cause at all. Once that became clear, it made things worse for some time, but these days it's a little better. I'm finding that I'm able to think about it more objectively and be hopeful for the future instead of wallowing so much, but it's a continuous battle. Thank you for sharing this. I lost 60 pounds last year and thought that weight loss would at least alleviate some of my mental health issues. I too realized that it didn't matter what I looked like because my brain would tell me I'm worthless and ugly anyways. I've been seeing a professional for my mental health since June of this year. To anyone who struggles with self-hatred, depression, anxiety, and/or other mental health issues, please seek help. Just losing weight doesn't change what your brain is dealing with. Poor mental health is quite often the very reason weight becomes an issue. I sought solace and comfort in food because of guilt and shame, which only perpetuated the shame and depression. It was a slippery slope. When I lost weight, it didn't fix my mental health issues, but it did give me a great deal more confidence that I can make further changes and that life could be worth the effort. I'm physically 265 pounds lighter, but the spiritual and emotional weight that has been lifted is immeasurable. Thank you for this message. I really needed to read this today. Been looking into finding a counselor for my mental health. I know if I work on fixing my unhealthy relationship with food and getting over binge eating, then it will be so much easier to lose weight, compared to how much of a mental struggle it is now when I'm always fighting with my thoughts. I have been unhappy at my lowest weight, and I'm still unhappy now that I have gained weight. Took the first step reaching out to my doctor for help, and I am so glad that I did. And that brings us to the end, narwhals. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more weight loss stories. Also, because it's getting harder for me to get my videos out to you on YouTube, click the bell icon below and become a notification narwhal by turning on all notifications for the channel. That way you won't miss any videos and it really helps the channel out. And big shout out to all the notification narwhals watching who do have notifications on. Thank you so much for helping the channel and being there first on the videos. Thank you for watching. This has been your host Luke Narwhal, and until next time, have a good one, narwhals.